Hey guys, Mike here, and this is a special edition of your weekly Xbox news. So Microsoft finally had their first party showcase, and we got our first glimpse of Halo Infinite's gameplay. It starts with the Chief and the pilot we saw from the trailer over a year ago in a Pelican. Of course, as usual, the Pelican gets shot down. Getting our first look at the gameplay in the world of this Halo game, it reminds me of classic Halo Combat Evolved, with a bit of Halo 5 sprinkled on top. The art style is very much like a classic Halo game, however the gameplay like sprint and clamber are also back. One new addition that has me curious is the grapple hook. In the gameplay we saw Chief grapple onto walls, enemies, and even an explosive canister to throw at a turret. It looks really cool and it could provide some unique gameplay ideas. The game looks like it could be open world, as we saw a map appear with objectives and waypoints for what could be points of interest or side missions. There was also a tab for upgrades. I do feel this gameplay looked a little vanilla for my taste, however it did seem to pick up in the later part of the demo. A part of me wishes 343 Industries would have showed off something a bit more intense and faster pace. I think players enjoy seeing faster, more chaotic gameplay, and I do think it would have benefited 343 to show something with more vehicles and far larger open environments. The brutes also looked a bit off, and there was some level of detail pop in when the player took an elevator ride up to the objective. It's not a good look for a system with a very fast SSD. Overall though, I'm still excited for Halo Infinite. It's just that this presentation of the game didn't really do it justice. There is still much more about the game we don't know about. The open world aspect and the upgrades aspect could also add something to the game. I also think the cutscene and the character interactions are leagues better than what we saw in Halo 5 Guardians, and that is saying something. Halo Infinite is due out this holiday. Next up, we got a trailer for State of Decay 3. The trailer starts off with a character sitting in the woods near a campfire, crafting a wooden arrow. We then are shown glimpses of the character walking through the environment and running into an animal that has been infected with the virus. It looks like players in State of Decay 3 will have much more to deal with than just human zombies. We also got our first look at Forza Motorsport for the Xbox Series X. Ray tracing was confirmed, as well as the game running at 4K 60 frames per second. The game looks like it could be a ways off, and it won't be a launch title for the Series X, and we're not sure if this is a Forza Motorsport 8 or if this will have a different subtitle. Rare presented a new trailer for Everwild, and I have to say, I love the art style and the environments shown here. Some scenery just looks amazing. However, we really don't know what Everwild is still. I'm interested in the title regardless if it's co-op like Sea of Thieves or single player. One game that really interested me is Obsidian's new game, Avowed. Taking place in the Pillars universe, this will be Obsidian's take on an Elder Scrolls type RPG. I sunk a lot of hours into Skyrim, so the thought of Obsidian taking a larger AAA RPG in the spirit of Skyrim is very exciting to me. Ori and the Will of the Wisps will receive a special Xbox Series X update. The game will run at 120 frames per second in full 4K with better image and low latency input. Also being added is premium audio tech that just wasn't possible on the previous consoles. I loved Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I will definitely give it another go on the Series X. There was some great news from Bungie at the event. Destiny 2 will launch on Game Pass this fall, and it will include all the previous expansions, as well as the Beyond Light DLC that will hit this November. The game will also run at native 4K at 60 FPS. Destiny 2 is a lot of fun, and Bungie aims to streamline the game a bit more this coming fall. The Medium had a new trailer showing off some very scary gameplay and the dual reality that players will interact with when playing the game. I have to say, this psychological thriller looks amazing. I like the dual reality that the developer wants to do. Having played games with a similar theme in the past, being able to transition from one reality to the next instantly sounds really cool, and it could provide some interesting gameplay mechanics and ideas. There were plenty of other noteworthy announcements in the video. Obsidian's new DLC for the Outer Worlds was announced called Peril on Gorgon, which looks to give players newer side missions and a different world to explore. Obsidian also showed off a launch trailer for Grounded, which looked great. A new trailer for Crossfire X's single-player campaign was shown. This is being developed by Remedy, so I'm sure the story will have something to be valued. Phantasy Star 2 Online New Genesis is an update to the popular MMO, promising updates to the game's mechanics and better graphics. The update is due to arrive in 2021. Tetris Effect Connected was announced, and it looks to have a new unique co-op mode as well as traditional single-player mode. The creators of SteamWorld did announce their new game, The Gunk. Taking place on a mysterious new world, you will encounter new enemies and puzzles trying to save this mysterious new planet. Warhammer 40,000 Darktide was announced and is a 4-player co-op action game. Together you will fight hordes of enemies with your friends. The game is due to release in 2021. One game that really interests me is As Dusk Falls. This is a heavily story-driven game. You will make choices, and based on them, you will have a strong impact on the story. Stalker II was also announced, taking place in a large open world where you will fight monsters and mutants and view strange occurrences in the world. Double Fine was also on hand to show a new music trailer for Psychonauts 2. I absolutely enjoyed the song that was being played and can't wait for this platformer to show up. And finally, Microsoft and Playground Games announced that a new Fable is in development. The trailer showed a fairy flying around the world of Albion, only to get sadly eaten by a toad. Fable is a very beloved franchise, and it's good to see Microsoft officially announce the game's return. Not much is known about the game, but it seems to be a reboot or a reimagining of the franchise. It seems Playground Games wants to put their own stamp on the franchise while keeping what people loved most, like its humor. Overall, I thought this was a good showing from Xbox. I do think the Halo Infinite gameplay could have been a bit more exciting, and visually, it can use a bit more. However, we are not living in normal times with the current pandemic, so perhaps my expectations are a bit high. Part of me wishes Microsoft and Sony would stop holding so much back at these little events throughout the summer. It's the end of July, and we currently do not know the launch lineup, price, or release date for either system. Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited about the next-gen systems, but the state the world is in, especially in the US, has probably affected how information is going to be distributed. It can affect how games are shown off during the pre-recorded events, such as having CGI trailers instead of gameplay trailers, and some features could come post-launch for some games. I honestly do look forward to holiday 2020 and the release of the next-gen consoles. Okay guys, that is all for me today. If you want to hear more of my ramblings, follow me at FalconXLive, or watch me on Twitch at FalconXLive. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and to hear more from XboxEra, click that subscribe button. Take care, and I will see you soon.